Shabbat shalom, everyone. My 6-year-old is slowly becoming aware of how the world works, and he has recently discovered a new facet of society: money. It was his birthday not too long ago, and one of his relatives sent him, wait for it, $10 whole. And he got to go to the store and pick out some weird toy. I'm not sure what it exactly is. Didn't need this toy, but that's not the point. He got some candy, got this weird toy, and I have noticed that his little eyes have now been opened to the whole concept of money, which, if I'm being honest, makes me a little sad, because I've seen what money can do to people, and the time of his childhood innocence is now one more step removed. So he started asking me about where money comes from, so I did my best to explain it. And keep in mind, I tell stories about Moses for a living. I am not an economist. So I told him about the U.S. Mint and banks and how people work to get paid, yada, yada, yada. And he asked me more questions. He said, but where does it come from? And so I tried to explain more, and it did not go well. I actually kind of felt sorry for him because I was not the right man for the job to explain this. I think I mentioned the stock market at some point. It was really not good. Then he asked me something I've never thought about, and he said, do animals use money? And I laughed and I said, of course not. And he said, so humans just invented money? And I laughed. I said, and then I stopped laughing because I realized something kind of terrifying. Guys, we totally invented money. We invented it. Hang in there with me. Human beings invented money as a representation of value that we ascribe to things. And people's whole livelihoods revolve around this concept that we invented. Now, we know that for a long time, people didn't use money. They bartered or traded, but as we evolved, this notion of value and currency arose, and now it is the pinnacle of how our society operates. If you look at a homeless person on the street, you probably think, oh, that's sad. He has no money. But that guy has to sleep outside because of a notion or a theory that we as a society created to uphold and maintain daily lives. People spend their entire lives sometimes working like slaves to collect money. And yet it really doesn't exist as a palpable, tangible object because it's not. Now, sure, we print dollar bills, we have coins, currency, and these represent the theory of money. We have charts and accounts and stocks. And then we get really clever with the idea of money, and we take it many steps further and come up with things like percentages and interest and stocks and lines of credit. But all about that, think about it for a minute. We as human beings, we made that over time, of course. Now, I'm not saying these are bad ideas. For modern society to function properly, and certainly for it to thrive, I know that we need a monetary value-based system that exists beyond simple trading for goods and services. But if you look at history, people survived for thousands of years without money. They just lived off the land, built shelters, ate food, kind of like animals do. So yes, at the end of the day, money is completely man-made, yet this idea is central to making our world function coherently. While we're discussing interesting and somewhat terrifying ideas, you know what else is man-made? Celebrities. I'll tell you what you already know. Celebrities are just people. Biologically, they are the same as you and me. But sometimes we need to remind ourselves of this truth. The only reason celebrities have any power is because we as a society have given it to them through attention and, yes, through money. And if you stop and think about it, It's kind of weird. Why is that guy a celebrity? Well, he can throw a ball very far. Why is she a celebrity? She can sing a song very well. Why are they celebrities? They can pretend like they're other people very well. We as a society, for some reason, deem these skills worthy of a lot of acknowledgement. And we think that we really need to know about all of this stuff. Just go into the store and look at all of the magazines devoted to these people. It'll have articles that say, Harrison Ford went to the grocery store. Here are the pictures. He bought grapes. And we read it, and we're like, Indiana Jones eats grapes? I eat grapes. Sometimes celebrities have opinions. And for some reason, we're really supposed to care about this. Mark Ruffalo is the guy who played the Incredible Hulk in the Avengers. And he does not like Israel, and he wants me to know that he doesn't like Israel. But I thought about this the other day. Why should I care if the Incredible Hulk likes Israel or doesn't? What does that have to do with me? Friends, all of this stuff, money, wealth, fame, we invented it, and we supposedly deem it necessary for our own attention. But is it? I want to take a little bit of time to talk about our Haftorah this morning. It's from the book of Isaiah, and I have to say, Maisie read it beautifully. It's very long, it's very difficult Hebrew to read, and she did an amazing job. And in this Haftorah, God speaks through the prophet, and God focuses on the idea of idols and idolatry. And it illustrates this notion by describing how a person literally carves a statue to worship. This is what she read in the English. It says, the carpenter measures wood with a line, and he makes an outline with a marker, and he roughs it and chisels it out with marks. He shapes it into a human form, and all of its glory, that it may dwell in his shrine. And then it continues, he prays to it and says, save me, you are my God. But these idols, they know nothing. They understand nothing. Their eyes are plastered over so they cannot see, and their minds are closed so they can't understand. Now you might be thinking something like, Rabbi, nobody is worshiping a carved figure anymore. And you might be right. But I'll ask you, how is a carved figure that's made by a human different from money or celebrities also made by humans? I read a quote the other day from the great Dr. Martin Luther King. And he said, quote, whatever your heart clings to and confides in, that is really your God. And I think he's absolutely right. If we put our energy into pursuing things that are made by or invented by human beings, then that really is a form of idolatry, because those things are a distraction from God and a distraction from the things we should really focus on, like the people we care about. Money or other people might make us feel good temporarily, but they certainly can't save our soul or give our lives any real meaning. So this morning I want to ask us, what have we created ourselves that we put our energy into instead of God? Now, I don't think you're carving out wooden statues in your garage and worshiping them, but has the pursuit of money or power or fame, has that gotten into the way we interact with our loved ones? Has that interfered with our happiness? Has that prevented us from having a relationship with the divine? If so, then I recommend that we really take a good look at where our priorities lie and determine not to give those things power or dominion over us. I mentioned earlier that our Torah portion this morning outlines the specifics of sacrifice. And while we don't have a temple anymore, and therefore we literally can't sacrifice animals, I believe that when we give up our own idols and pursue the greater truths in the world, I think that this is a sacrifice that God desires above all else. Friends, in conclusion, please hear me. It's okay to have money. It's okay to use money. It's okay to even like money. But just remember, to quote the great prophet Paul McCartney, money can't buy you love. Shabbat shalom.